Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Harry Muppet, and we are going to be getting back into, where's this? Just have a look here. Into round 2, I guess, into game number 2 of the round of 16 series between HuK and StarDust. I'm getting a little bit flustered because I'm looking at this little name up in the top left side. I got a new version of the GameHard interface, and I'm hoping that those disappearing buildings will be solved. And it does have a bunch of other nice looking stuff as well. So yeah, that'll be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, there's obviously the name of the map up there, and it's obviously a little bit skewed off. So hopefully they fix that soon. But otherwise, it was yeah, there's a bit of a screw up text there as well. But yeah, well, it still looks pretty good. So we'll just assume this says Harry Muppet is awesome, and we'll just move on with it. So yes, up the top left side of the map, it is going to be red Protoss player HuK, and down the bottom right side of the map, it is going to be our blue Protoss player StarDust. And yes, these two guys, man, been going absolutely nuts in the first game. StarDust pulling it off basically because he expanded. I mean, he got the third expansion around the 14-15 minute mark, and HuK choosing not to go for a third expansion, just choosing to go for massive army units. But he didn't do a push in as hard as he could, and StarDust managed to get that economy really working for himself, managing to pull out the win in the end just with an awesome army. It actually ended up going to a base race, but StarDust had a Nexus tucked into the corner, and he had a much bigger army, so he did end up getting the win there. And really, really great job from him doing that much. And yes, it's actually white bars. I think they got shading maybe, or is that just my eyes or something going bad? I do not know, but anyway, it's pretty awesome, and if none of the buildings disappear in this game, then I will be happy, because that was a bit annoying. And there's a bar on the top right side. I'm not sure what that's for. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the GameHard interface, the GameHard replays, you can't just cast them anywhere you want. Let's escape. There we go. That got rid of it. So this is some sort of bar when you're actually selecting stuff. So we'll try not to select stuff. We can't actually see anything when we select stuff anyway, so it's probably pointless to try and select stuff, but it must be ingrained. So what have we got going on here? We do have pretty standard stuff from StarDust anyway. He's going on to get out some cyber cores, getting out some gateways, doing some pretty standard stuff. That is a pylon, so we don't have to worry about that. HuK, meanwhile, is up the top left, and he is going for a Twilight Council. We may be seeing some fast Colossus, so you've definitely seen him do some fast Colossus the previous game, so I'm sure he'd love to get that done again. But of course, if you've got any chance of getting a decent amount of Colossus out, you will need a second base, so we'll expect to see him get that, I don't know, in the next minute or so. This Stalker just doing a bit of a run around, see what's going on. You can actually see that StarDust already did a little bit of a run around to see what's going on over there, but interestingly enough, neither of these players really choosing to do a massive scout out, to really get into each other's base and really do a lot of scouting. Nah. But it looks like they're gonna remedy that right now. We do have this Stalker coming out, so he's not going to go for the probe. He's going to go somewhere else. And meanwhile, the Mothership Core going to be thinking. No, we don't want to select that. We thinking about doing something. The Stalker's going to come in. It's going to see absolutely nothing, which is good for him, because actually maybe not good for him. He'd probably prefer to see an expansion, because then he's like, alright, I can push out nice and fast. And we do have a Dark Shrine coming down for StarDust. We saw this the previous game. He's a little bit cheeky getting that Dark Shrine out, but he did do a fair amount of damage with it, enough to actually make up for the fact that the Dark Shrine was going to be useless for pretty much the rest of the game. But he did go in there, he did do some good stuff, and here we go. HuK going to be getting out his robotics base, so he should be fine as long as he chrono boosts an observer out of it straight away. The previous game, I think he got an immortal out before the observer, and he probably did regret that, because yeah, quite a few of his workers went down. And there we go, the buildings have started to disappear, so this new interface is a load of cock, and I will not be using it again. I'll switch back to the old one. Yeah, it's will have disappearing buildings, but at least it doesn't have this stupid line up the top. So yeah, that's fine. And this text up the top left as well is annoying me a little bit. But what have we got going on? A bunch of stalkers and a pylon. And we do have an expansion. So StarDust thinks he's in a good place. He's going to expand. Meanwhile, he's going to put some pressure on HuK. Probably with a bunch of DTs. There we go. There's at least 2 DTs coming out. And he is getting an observer before an immortal. So being a bit smarter than he was the previous game. And there we go. He sees the DT coming. He puts down a force field just to keep it trapped in there. Yeah, that would be so funny actually. Just seeing that little guy wiggling around. But there we go. The observer coming out. And he's not going to lose any probes to DTs this game. So great job there by HuK. But it still comes down to the fact that StarDust expansion is 3/4 of the way done, and HuK has not yet expanded at the 8-minute mark. So he's not going to be happy about that. He does have a fairly large amount of stalkers though, so he can potentially go in there and really just knock this Nexus out. I do not think that StarDust has anything close to what he needs to keep this Nexus alive. I think it's almost certainly going to go down. There we go, cancels at the last second. So great job there, saving 300 minerals. And the question is, what can he do to save himself right now? He is getting out an immortal, which would be good. He can get out a couple of DTs. Although the observers just showed up, so that's not going to work. The Nexus being overcharged is going to help quite a bit. But, I mean, there's just so many forces. They could probably go in and wipe out the Nexus if they wanted to. And here we go, these forces. There's probes chasing them. I'm not sure why the probes are chasing them, but just getting out of range of that Nexus. They've got to wait for it to cool down and then go after it. He's getting a probe to bounce up that Nexus once again. But right now, HuK is just happy destroying pylons, and I'm surprised that HuK isn't expanding off the back of this. So if I was him, I definitely would be. And yeah, he definitely should be. He's not got DTs in the middle. Although this is overcharged, so maybe he did have some DTs in there, which is probably not fun. There we go. The Stalker's moving in, going for the pylons. Unfortunately, you can't uncharge the Nexus at this point, so yeah, that thing is still going to be hitting tons of stuff. He's continually building pylons, trying to get his stuff together, just about to get another Immortal out, and that will start to do some damage. Once he gets a few Mortals, plus ground units, he can start to think about pushing these guys away. There we go, he's just going to do some hit and run attacks with the Immortals, and the Stalkers have got to be very, very afraid right now with 2 Immortals in the middle of this base. They are just going to get hammered so badly, and StarDust just has to make sure that the Immortals do not get taken out, but I think he should be fine. And HuK is got to back up off this. He's got to be thinking about something else, and I will be simply astounded if he does not expand, because it's no longer certain that this Stalker Zealot harass is going to work. You've got to expand while you've got the chance. I mean, fair enough, there's some what are these guys? The DT's coming in, doing some stuff, and that's probably why he hasn't expanded, actually, about the DTs. But look at this, one Immortal's going to go down, but another one coming out, and this Immortal's going to go down. But I think this army from HuK is going to get chased off well and truly. I think StarDust has the superior army now. And meanwhile, the DT's coming in here, overcharging the Nexus though with the help of the Observer, is going to chase this guy away once again. And yeah, he should be fine, but 12-minute mark and neither of these guys have expanded. It's not every day you can say that, but yeah, they're still looking like they're a little... They're pretty close, I think. But HuK, man, really being aggressive with this sort of stuff, man. I think he needs to just build up a few forces. He's been committing everything to this harassment, man. I think these 5 Stalkers, fair enough, but everything else, build it back up at the main base, get an Observer out there, just expand, because, I mean, you've got an advantage right now. You need to take a hold of it, because you know that StarDust is going to push out AP, get his own expansion down, and just absolutely go nuts on his own expansion. StarDust knows he needs to expand ASAP, and HuK needs to be matching him. He needs to be getting out that expansion of his own, and he's not doing that. And if he doesn't expand in the next couple of minutes, StarDust is going to eat him alive in about the 16-17 minute mark. There we go, he's jumping up and down a little bit, and yeah, that's a bit annoying, but there's not much I can do about that. I am sorry. I think I read some technical description about how the building doesn't exist if nobody's watching it or something like that. It sounds like bogus to me, but what can you do? I mean, I can't watch this on a normal interface, and we've got to cast these games because they are freaking awesome. So there we go. A little bit of flickering every now and then. I think we can put up with that. But meanwhile, just coming around here, coming through there, a bunch of guys coming down. Stalkers, he's finally getting an expansion down, so good stuff for him. But he is continuing to push out with these Stalkers to try and do some damage. And yeah, so let's see how it goes. I mean, StarDust is definitely not looking weak at the moment. As long as HuK keeps going Stalkers, these Immortals are just going to chew through everything. And he's getting Zealot legs as well, so that's going to be pretty awesome. Yeah, but HuK is getting his own Immortals at this point. Trying to maybe blink up there, but that's not going to work. They almost killed an Observer though, so that was pretty close. Maybe this Observer... Yeah, how did they hit that Observer, man? Oh, he must have had his own Observer, and I think StarDust just took out that Observer. So yeah, pretty awesome. And there we go. These guys blinking away beautifully to avoid the Immortal attacks. Meanwhile, I've got an Observer over there, seeing the expansion come down, but that's a bit later than StarDust's expansion, so he's not super worried. There we go. The Sentry's wiping out that Observer, and yeah, we pretty much reset the game at this point, I think. Although StarDust is looking like he's a little bit ahead. He got his expansion out a bit earlier, and he's got a bit more army. So I think he has the advantage right now. And HuK, man, I mean, you had like 10 years to get your expansion. And I know there were DTs in there, but an Observer and a couple of Stalkers and you're set. You build the expansion, you get it done. I mean, DTs are not going to take down an expansion by themselves if you've got an Observer and a couple of Stalkers out the front. So he didn't get it down though. He was too busy worrying about this stuff, and I think that was yeah, very much a mistake on his part. And now, I mean, StarDust is going to have that edge, that economic edge, the army edge. He's going to have it going for him, and I don't know, man. I do not like HuK's chances in this game anymore. These guys have actually got speed, man, so they could wreck those Stalkers' worlds if they really wanted to, but he's choosing not to push in, not to wipe them out. And here we go. HuK's got his own set of Immortals right here. Neither player got upgrades either, so they're 16-17 minute mark. No upgrades for either player. It's a little bit dicey, I guess, but I mean, HuK does have one weapons just about to finish. There we go, and StarDust is getting a Forge down, so he's got to be thinking about upgrades as well. And yeah, look at these guys, man. A bunch of Zealots moving in, hoping to find this place undefended. What they are going to find, though, is much more valuable. That is a High Templar, and a High Templar coming down for StarDust. And HuK is thinking about his own High Templars over there. So yeah, really, really crazy. But this High Templar is like, yeah, I don't actually do direct damage, so you guys are just going to have to look after yourselves. And the probes are like, what? Come on, dude. You got to be serious, man. You cost like 300 gas or something like that. How can you not do any damage? So yeah, anyway, StarDust, man, looking to make a push here. There are a fair amount of Immortals, but he's got a lot of Zealots, man. Although HuK has got a fairly decent amount of Zealots, so defensive advantage. I think HuK is going to hold off there. Meanwhile, what do we got? We've got a DT and 3 Zealots coming in. There's a cannon with probes surrounding it, but a fair amount of probes is still going to be done if he manages to micro them. The cannon and the Nexus focusing on these guys, and you can see the absolute beauty of that tactic. You surround the cannons with the probes. Not only do the probes defend the cannon so you can't hit the cannon, but yeah, I mean, when you're being shot by a cannon, you go for the cannon, and if the cannon is the only military unit and you can't reach it, you just sort of keep headbutting the wall of probes. You don't actually attack the probes, you just headbutt them. And yeah, so those guys just bumping against the cannon, against the probes, didn't do any damage whatsoever. They didn't even try and hit the probes. And I don't know, he may have been trying to micro them, but I think he was pushing in here, so he had no micro left over for those guys, and they died without doing anything pretty much. So great play there by HuK. And with that attack, I mean, StarDust is knocked back quite a bit. Really, really good defense from HuK. He's evened out the workers, and he's a little bit ahead on the army, so great stuff. But of course, StarDust does have a very decent amount of Archons, and Archons are a very, very powerful unit, so we'll have to see exactly how it goes. He's overcharging the Nexus over here, and it may come down to game 1. Again, who is the first person to get the third base, because that person has a very good chance of winning at this point with these guys so close together in terms of what's going on. Although HuK, man, really pushing out with the army. StarDust continuing to go on with the DTs, but HuK has got the third base coming down first, and StarDust is going to see that, so he can harass it a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be able to wipe it out. However, I don't like that probe's chances of making it home anytime soon. So there we go, these guys going back to defend, to wipe out this DT. And this Nexus, I mean, is going to be in bad shape when it finally does pop up, so they make it even easier for StarDust to finish it off. But that poor pylon, man, just got completely wiped out. And here we go, waiting for the observer to show up. We're always waiting for somebody, aren't we? There we go, though. That is really doing a lot of damage to that thing, though. And there we go, the DT finally going down. The Nexus, it has really been touched up right there. And is going to die that much easier when StarDust finally gets over there. But he's got to be thinking of defending his own third base as well if HuK decides to attack it. So, yeah, we just got to be seeing who's going to be doing what. And HuK, man, really going nicely on the upgrades, man. He's got level 2. He's just about to get 3 up, and StarDust, man, hasn't even got level 1. Really, what are you doing, man? I mean, what are you doing? I know you're awesome and stuff like that, but you gotta get your upgrades a little bit quicker. I mean, it's just not right. So there we go. Bunch of forces moving in. He is a bit behind on the army. He's a lot behind on the upgrades. And StarDust, I don't know, man. I thought he was good, but that attack up the top where he lost most of his forces, I don't think it was quite an even trade. I think he did lose a fair amount of units, maybe a bit more than HuK. And yeah, HuK really doing a good job getting the third base up quicker, getting more workers, only a smidge more workers, but he's been doing a great job at keeping his army numbers up. Look at this guy going on, man. A mortal drop. They're going to try and take this guy out. I think they might be able to do it. They're getting taken out quite heavily though, and they're managing to get away. This guy didn't actually lose any shields, so that's pretty awesome of him. And meanwhile, this force jumping around the middle, it's not ultras, it's immortals and archons, man. It's like, I don't know why, but these guys walking like that, it reminds me of well, when you used to go to school and you got off the school bus and you had to hold hands with somebody. That's what these guys are doing, man. The immortals are holding hands with the archons, and you got to partner up, and you got to not let go of your partner for the entire trip, otherwise the teacher yells at you. Now these guys, man, they are all over the place, man. They're not holding hands with anybody. This is the bad school, man. This is the school you do not want to send your kids to. If you're in the school zone for this school, you generally will want to move to another suburb to get into another school, because, yeah, man, they're a rowdy bunch, but they are a lot tougher, and there are a lot more of them. So these guys holding hands will not stop you from getting the shit beaten out of you. But there we go, bunch of DTs and mortals coming in here, looking pretty sweet. I don't know why he's trying to beat up this Nexus, man. There's barely anybody mining from it. He should be beating up on pylons instead, trying to unpower buildings or high-tech units or something. Meanwhile, these guys, look at it, they're just playing Ring Around the Rosie for the entire battle, trying not to get shot. But here we go, it's finally going to catch up. There's going to be a huge battle. There's going to be lots of tears, and lots of lunches are going to be squashed underneath big boots and stuff like that. And eventually StarDust is just going to have to run, man, because he has not got the upgrades and he does not have the army, and he just got really nastily done there. And they managed to get the Nexus down, so good job for that. But in the end, man, one of these guys was actually finished off. So yeah, really, that building not really worth attacking. And meanwhile, these guys trapped in the corner, man, and they are going to get the worst wedgies they have ever had in their entire life, man. That's just harsh. Where is the Warp Prism when you really need it? There we go. They all go down, and HuK is just such a good position, man. Really good position. He really wants to defend this base, though. Really does. Actually, he's got 2 more Robo Bays coming up. Robotics facility, I should say. Oh, look at the DTs, man. going absolutely nuts, trying to kite DTs like they were zealots, man. That's harsh. But managed to do it. Just got a few scrapes and bruises and stuff like that. And here is HuK. He wants to finish this off nice and quickly. Some Colossus coming out, but Colossus are not good against Archons and Immortals, man. They are just absolutely horrible against those guys. The Colossus are like, come on, man, I'm built for Zerglings, man. I'm not built for this shit. And there we go. The Immortals, man. It's like the Colossus didn't even exist. He's just completely owned. Just owned so badly. I cannot overemphasize how badly owned a Colossus gets versus Immortals, man, because it is just absolutely disgusting. And StarDust, man, just things did not work for him, man. The upgrades, he had a big upgrade disadvantage. At one point he was 2 behind, and yeah, I mean, all the DTs in the world could not help him when HuK really got going and just did an awesome job. A few attacks, especially going in here trying to make it work against the Nexus, just did not work for StarDust. And yeah, eventually he just it just didn't work for him, and he just got taken out. So yeah, there we go. I mean, HuK pushing back in this series, taking StarDust out, doing a great job, and we are going to be moving on to an ace match in this best of 3 series to see who goes into the quarterfinals against Elfie, I believe. Elfie, another Protoss player, so that's going to be awesome to watch as well. But yeah, we will find out in the very next game. I will catch you guys then. This has been HairyMuppet. I hope you enjoyed this game.